Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and the weekly wildcard draft for GW20. And this is a very special episode of the weekly wildcard draft because it is also the week where I'm wildcarding finally for the first time this season. I waited all the way until GW20 and now I feel like I'm going to get a pretty huge advantage compared to everyone else. Currently, at the time of this recording, I'm around 80k in the world, so I'm really happy about that. And yeah, like I said, hopefully this wildcard will help me go even closer to the top 10k, potentially even higher than that. Eventually, hopefully, that's the goal at least, getting into the top 10k. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty special weekly wildcard draft. It's going to be a bit different because this is not going to be the final weekly wildcard draft because I want the final weekly wildcard draft to be the team that I end up with. And there's obviously games to be played. This is recorded on Wednesday, so before all the games on Wednesday with Chelsea left to play, Arsenal, Spurs, all those teams left to play. Man City, which is a huge one considering Erling Haaland's injury, like how he's if he's coming back or anything like that. So there's a lot of stuff to work out, and the final version of this weekly wildcard draft I'll present to you on my final team selection video tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, there's probably going to be some changes potentially, but I really like what I have for now and also the plans going forward into the future as well, because there are some very interesting game weeks coming up. So yeah, by the way, I'm going to make it a bit different than I usually do this weekly wildcard draft. This time around, I'm not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 until I have 15 players. I'm going to go into the actual game, FPL, as you can see, the active chip wildcard. And yeah, I have 101.9 money in the bank, or money remaining if I sell all my players, as you can see. And the team you can see right now is basically like the team that I have currently, just for price rises and price drops and stuff. So yeah, I brought in Bowen and Alvarez just in case price rises and stuff, just like as a placeholder team. But let's go through each and every player that I'm potentially going to pick this for this wildcard, starting with the players that I have sort of like nailed, who are probably going to be in my squad regardless. I think Palmer is an obvious one. He's just so good value. He plays for not the best team in Chelsea. That's my only worry with Palmer. He plays for a team that has been pretty poor so far this season, but a team with high potential and really good fixtures, and his price, penalty taking, all that stuff just makes him an easy pick. Gabriel as well. I feel like I need an Arsenal defender. I think Gabriel is the best Arsenal defender to have as well. In terms of goal threat, price, nailed onness, I think he's just the best defensive asset from Arsenal, so he's going to make the squad for sure. Watkins as well, pretty sure I'm going to have him. He has been pretty disappointing lately with like 4 out of 5 blanks, so that's making me a little bit worried, but he does have such good fixtures now coming up, and he has gone through a couple of really tough fixtures, and that's partly why he's struggled so much lately. So I still think Watkins will be good pretty soon. He usually delivers, so he's in there probably. And same can be said for Solanke as well. Like, he has the opposite thing. He is in pretty good form now, or really good form now, with a hat-trick and then scoring a penalty in the next game. But he has some tougher-ish fixtures in the next few, so he's also kind of like not 100% like, I don't know. He is pretty much going to be in my squad regardless, I think. I can't really see a squad without Solanke or Watkins, to be honest. But yeah, there are some doubts about both of them. I think in general there aren't any like standouts number 1 picks unless we have Haaland back from injury, which we'll get to pretty soon. By the way, Bowen is also someone that I'm most likely going to have in my squad. I haven't had a West Ham player all season, and I'm a West Ham fan, and this seems like the perfect time with Kudus out for AFCON. Bowen is going to play every game, as he always does anyway. But West Ham has some really good fixtures, and he's going to be the focal point of attack for West Ham. So whether that is as a striker or as a right winger when Antonio comes back, before Kudus comes back from African Cup of Nations. So yeah, Bowen is also in there. And I think for now, I think still Saka is going to be pretty much in my team. I just fear going without him. It's partly due to him being so highly owned. It's also partly down to, I think Arsenal are looking better lately, at least in like the easier games. I think they're going to go on a pretty good run of fixtures now in terms of easy. They have easy fixtures coming up, and I think they're going to be really good for that period as well. So I think Saka is just like the safest option from Arsenal attackingly. I just want at least 2 Arsenal players, if not 3, but for now I only have 2. But Saka, I think he's going to make it, but he's sort of on the cusp. So now I'm sort of getting to that breaking point where I'm like, I don't really know about the rest of the picks. Obviously, we have Salah and Son, as you can see there, blacked out. I still have both of them because of the value that they have, but I'm still most likely going to sell both of them, at least within Game Week 21 when they go to AFCON and Asian Cup, respectively. But for now, I think Salah has to make the squad. I think he's the best captaincy option, depending on the health of Haaland. If Haaland is 100% fit, 100% going to start against Sheffield United, then maybe I can go without Salah, but I think Salah against a tired Newcastle at Anfield, it just seems like a really nice time for Salah for me. So he has been disappointing lately. Yes, he hasn't had the best points lately in general. So I'm kind of wary about putting him as my captain, but I think I just need to have him for this game week. And he's also a really nice guy to have in terms of getting more money in the bank for next week as well. It gives me more flexibility for the next few game weeks, even though I have a lot of flexibility with the wildcard already. But I think Salah's going to make the squad. But if Haaland is 100% fit, then maybe I'll look into having someone else. So that leaves one midfielder, also a lot of defenders. There are actually a couple defenders that I'm pretty certain about. I think Branthwaite is going to be my cheap defender of choice. I do have some thoughts in my head about going with Gusto. I might have to see what he does tonight. I'm recording this before the Chelsea game, so if Gusto plays from start and looks really good, maybe Gusto will be the pick. But I think Branthwaite is just a more secure pick long term. I just don't trust Gusto starting every game, and I think Chelsea are also kind of untrustworthy as a team in general. And I think Branthwaite is just more reliable over the long term, and I don't really need Gusto straight away, which is when he's like at his best potentially, because that's when he has the good fixtures. So I think Branthwaite is just a better value prospect for the long term, and I don't really need the value right now at that spot. So I think Branthwaite is also going to be in my squad pretty much certainly. Or pretty much, not certainly, but yeah. There's a pretty good chance that he's going to be in the squad. Same goes also for Dubravka. I think whether he is a backup goalkeeper for a more expensive goalkeeper or if he is just the starting goalkeeper most game weeks, I think Dubravka still has really good value. I think he's going to be the starting goalkeeper even after January. There's no way of knowing that for sure, but that's why I'm probably going to have a playing goalkeeper as the second goalkeeper as well. But I think Dubravka is pretty much like I just feel like Newcastle will be a lot better once they get some rest. And January is just going to be one game basically, because there are some games right after New Year, and then there are some games at the end of January, and then the only game week in January basically is game week 21, which is drawn out over a couple of weeks. And I think that's going to help Newcastle a lot. They are not in the European competitions, they are not in the Carabao Cup, they don't have any other competitions, and now finally they're going to be healthy with Botman coming back as well from injury, Burn coming back from injury, even though that might be to the detriment of the team, looking at how he performed against Nottingham Forest. But I think Newcastle in general would just be a lot better defensively. So I know people are really sick and tired of Dubravka and like cheap goalkeepers in general, but I still think Dubravka is fantastic value at 4.1. Like, he's potentially the starting goalkeeper for Newcastle for the rest of the season, and we know how good Newcastle are defensively. So I'm pretty much certain, or I keep saying this now, even though I'm pretty far into the team, but I feel pretty confident about having Dubravka in my team as well. And most likely, currently, what I'm leaning towards having as a partner with him is Alphonso Areola. Again, another player that has been hugely frustrating for most people in FPL. I still haven't had Areola this season, so maybe that's why I'm sort of immune to his, to not select him, I guess. But I think both West Ham and Newcastle are pretty decent teams. Areola and Dubravka rotate really, really nicely. So for the three next fixtures, where Dubravka has tough fixtures, Areola has slightly better fixtures, and vice versa. I think I have like a nice rotation there. Both of them are probably going to be the starting goalkeeper for their teams for the rest of the season, but it's like kind of unsure for both of them. I think Areola is pretty secure as the starting goalkeeper for West Ham, especially now that Fabianski got a clean sheet, and still Areola came back into the team. I think Areola is going to be the starter for the rest of the season. But I think Dubravka is going to be the main starting goalkeeper for me if I go with this rotation pair in goal. And I think that's what I'm going to do, most likely. So that leaves one attacker, one midfielder, and three defenders, basically. At least, I don't know. The defenders, I have a couple of pretty players that I'm pretty happy about. One of them is just for like a short term, at least, Alex Moreno. We saw Lucas Digne go off with an injury this past game against Man United. That leaves it open for Moreno to play against Burnley at home. Really good fixture for Moreno. I think Moreno has been like one of those players that before the season we really pinpointed, like when he's back in the fold, we're going to get him into our FPL teams. And now he's back. Digne is out. There are no rotation issues, most likely. Still need that update on Digne. But it seems like Moreno is going to play at least for the next 2 game weeks at least. Maybe Digne comes back for like game week 22, because as I said previously, game week 21 is pretty drawn out, so it's going to be a pretty long time for people to recover. So maybe Moreno only gets 2 matches, but still, I think those 2 are 2 really good matches. And considering I have the wildcard, I do have the luxury of doing transfer like Moreno. I think him against Burnley at home could be a really nice fixture for him. And I don't think many other people will have him because they don't have the wildcard and they have more important things to deal with, especially if Haaland is back. And speaking of Haaland, this team is still leaving up the possibility to have Haaland as well as Salah. Doesn't leave much in the bank, as you can see, 15.5, but that's for 3 players, so it is doable. But I think Haaland, if he is going to play against Sheffield United, it would be really nice to have both him and Salah for that fixture. I think Salah against Newcastle at home is a really good fixture, like I mentioned. Haaland, especially if he starts against Sheffield United at home, I just feel like I have to have him. And I feel like everyone else that are not on the wildcard have to choose between either Salah or Haaland, most likely. Some might be able to fit in both, but most likely they won't be able to fit in both. And the reason that I can fit in both is the fact that I don't have currently in my wildcard draft Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think that's going to like surprise a lot of people because he's like the main guy to get for everyone else right now. I brought him in for last game week as like a 1 week punt, and he got 8 points for me. Fantastic from him. But they do have some slightly tougher-ish fixtures. I know Newcastle are kind of terrible lately and kind of tired, but they do score a lot of goals. They do create a lot of chances still. So I think it's not the best clean sheet possibilities for Trent. And I also have some future plans for Trent as well, seeing as Salah is not going to be long in my team. So most likely I'm just going to prioritize Salah for now and then get Trent back in for a future game week pretty soon. I'm going to show you that pretty soon, what my plans are for the final draft for this final draft. So rather than going with Trent, I have to go with a cheaper defender, and this is one of my old favorites who is back now in training. He's going to be on the bench tonight, I think. And then, like I said, with the long month of January ahead, he's going to have ample time to recover, and that is Pedro Estupiñan. I just love Pedro Estupiñan as an option. Most people did at the start of the season. He went up to 5.3 in price, even though he was like the most popular defender to have from the start of the season. And it's for good reason, because he's such an attacking fullback, and he's such a vital cog to what Brighton do as a team in general. And I think he's now going to be fully fit finally to play. Brighton have amazing fixtures as well. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Let's pull it up here. Spurs at home, West Ham away, Wolves at home, Luton away, Palace at home, Spurs away, Sheffield United away, Everton at home, Fulham away, Nottingham Forest at home. Like, for such a long time, Estupiñan has really good fixtures, so I just really like him for the long haul, especially now that a lot of people will scramble to do a lot of transfers in the next few weeks. So I really like the look of Estupiñan. And then finally, we have another defender to go, and that is going to be most likely for now, still, because he is still older age, it is Pedro Porro. I think he's going to be my placeholder for now in defense. I'm not 100% sold on him long term because Maddison is going to come back and be on set pieces, so I'm not 100% sure about Pedro Porro. But Spurs do have some decent fixtures, and most likely he's going to get some attacking returns as well, especially now before Maddison comes back. Maddison's probably coming back either in Game Week 21 or Game Week 22, so it's not too long for Porro to be on set-piece duties, I assume, because I think Maddison's going to be back on set-piece duties when he's back. But Porro has done such a good job at it, so maybe he keeps it as well. So yeah, I think for insurance policy, I'm just going to have Pedro Porro for now. That means that I'm going to sell Udogie, who has been with my squad since Game Week 1. I think he's the only surviving member still of the Game Week 1 squad, apart from Salah, actually. So yeah, sadly, I would have to let Udogie go, but I think Porro is both just like a better asset attacking-wise, and also he's like an easier way to get to Trent Alexander-Arnold. I already have money invested in him for the future. And that leaves basically a midfielder for 5.1 and below, and that's where the newest guy on the block comes in, not Son, but Alejandro Garnacho. I was really close to bringing him in Game Week 16 when I needed a replacement for Mbeumo. I ended up going with Hwang Hye-chan instead, and sadly that has not worked out for me so far. Maybe that will change by the time of or by tonight when Wolverhampton play against Brentford, and Hwang can finally score some points for me, hopefully. But either way, Garnacho is someone that I really wanted a couple weeks back because I thought he had some high potential. As we saw, he scored twice against Aston Villa, so yeah, he's proven that he is just a really good pick. So yeah, Garnacho is also another one that is just nice to have, like a nice backup option. 4.7 only, like he's so cheap. It makes all the sense in the world for me, I think, to just have him in my squad. So he's most likely going to be there as my final enabler, and that leaves me with 0.4 in the bank as well. It also leaves me with some other options, which I'm going to look into right now, into the future for the next few game weeks, because there are a lot of things happening in game weeks 21 through 25 with African Cup of Nations, the Asian Cup, potential double game weeks, and then potential blank game week in game week 26 as well, or blank game weeks for some teams in game week 26 as well. So a lot of interesting stuff going ahead. So let's take a look at that as well. So yeah, as you can see here, we have my team for Game Week 20. and this is basically the starting lineup. I'm going to bench Garnacho actually, so this is dependent on Haaland starting or not, but even if Haaland is not fit to play against Sheffield United, maybe it's like a 50-50 decision and we don't really get the news before the deadline. Most people will not dare to go with Haaland if that's the case. They will keep Salah and they will not get Haaland for that game week if it's like unsure if he's going to start or not. So that would be probably the ideal case for me, because then I could start Haaland if he is ready to play. And if he's not ready to play, I just get Garnacho in, and I have Haaland for next week anyway, so I don't really need to worry about getting Haaland into my squad. So hopefully he's like unsure to start the match, and then when we get to the match, he's in the starting lineup, and finally I can get a lot of points from him and have a lot of points from Salah, who's likely going to be my captain anyway for that game week. Unless Haaland is like 100% fit and 100% ready to start, and we get news that he's going to start, then I'm going to probably captain Haaland, I think, just because of Salah's form recently. But yeah, this leaves me with a pretty good team. So even if Haaland doesn't play, I get Garnacho in. Other than that, I have a really good team. Moreno against Burnley at home, really like him. Pedro Porro against Bournemouth at home. Like, I'm not too enthused about Spurs' chances against Bournemouth, because I think Bournemouth are a really good team, but at the same time, it's at home. Tottenham are a really good team in their own right. So it's going to be a really fun and interesting game in general. Maybe it will be really high scoring as well. I don't really know, but yeah, I kind of like Pedro Porro there as well. Areola in goal is not ideal against Brighton at home, but I don't know, it's the best you can do with the money that I have. I do have the money in the bank to go for someone like Pickford, for example. They're playing Wolverhampton away, so maybe that is something that I would do, but I don't think so. Gabriel, Fulham away, really good for him. Newcastle at home for Salah, which is really good. I really like that fixture for Salah. Palmer against Luton away, again, strong fixture. Saka against Fulham, good fixture. Bowen against Brighton at home, really good for an attacking player. And Brighton currently as well, speaking of Areola, they have lost both Adingra and Mitoma now for this upcoming game week, or for the next few weeks. Not even because of the Asian Cup or AFCON. They're both injured, so they're both going to miss their international tournaments as well, which is sad for them and sad for the countries that they play for. But they're also going to miss the match against West Ham, which is a huge advantage for both Areola and Bowen. I think they will benefit from that as well. The Haaland against Sheffield United, like I mentioned a couple of times, fingers crossed he's ready for that game, because that will make it super chaotic for anyone else. I think, like I said previously in the video, having both Salah and Haaland is going to be a real luxury in this game week, if that happens to be the case, if Haaland is ready to play. Watkins against Burnley at home, just easy fixture for him. Solanke against Spurs away, again, playing Solanke versus Porro. Not ideal, I guess. Could potentially bench Solanke rather than benching Garnacho as well for this team. That is something that I would have to look into, but I think probably it's going to be a high-scoring game. Probably Porro could get some offensive returns as well, or attacking returns, so not the worst. And yeah, on the bench, Dubravka against Liverpool away. He plays, but it's a tough match. Branthwaite against Wolverhampton away, and then Estupiñan against West Ham away. Final bench for Estupiñan. I'm not even sure if he's going to be ready to play like 90 minutes or 60 plus minutes, so that's why he's on the bench. But for Game Week 21 and beyond, when we get that long break in Game Week 21, Estupiñan is going to be fully fit. And I don't think Brighton play until like the very last game of Game Week 21 or something like that. So I think Estupiñan will get a lot of time to recover for the Game Week 21 fixture, which we'll get to now actually. Let's go to Game Week 21. So yeah, this is where I'd probably put in Estupiñan for someone. Salah can't play obviously, but I do have some options for Salah. Maybe I'll bench Solanke, I don't know, against his former team. Maybe I'll bench Pedro Porro against Man United. Maybe I'll bench Alex Moreno against Everton. There are a couple of options here, depending on Digne's availability as well with Moreno, I guess. But yeah, Estupiñan is probably going to come in to this team, but also just to go with the transfer straight away. Game Week 21 could be a double game week for Man City, which is really, really interesting, I think. And the other thing that could happen in Game Week 21 is the fact that we might have another giant back in amongst the team, and that is Kevin De Bruyne. So I do have the money to do Kevin De Bruyne this week, and then the following week I could do Pedro Porro to Trent Alexander-Arnold and still have money in the bank. So that will leave me with Trent, KDB, Haaland, and basically a fantastic team among them or around them as well. So that is currently my transfer plans for Game Week 22, to have both De Bruyne and Haaland against Burnley at home. I'll have Trent for Chelsea at home and the foreseeable future after that as well. Probably bench Moreno in that game if it comes to it. Sadly, I don't have just quite enough money to do either Moreno or Estupiñan to Trent. If it turns out that Porro is still on set pieces and is still looking fantastic, maybe I don't want to sell. Pedro Porro, but I do have that option at least. Maybe I could also sell Saka, for example, to make room for Trent, but I don't really need Trent for this game week anyway. Like, this is basically just a luxury to get Trent against Chelsea. Not the best fixture for him, but after that, you can see game week 24 beyond at least. Maybe I'll wait until game week 24 to get Trent in, to be honest with you. But at least from game week 24 onwards, it's going to be fantastic to have Trent and De Bruyne and Haaland on top of everything else. So yeah, those are basically my plans for the wildcard in game week 20 and the game weeks beyond that. Let's take a final look at my current weekly wildcard drafts. And I say current because this is still subject to change. I'm going to discuss it with Kevin on the podcast later tonight, which is going to be released tomorrow on the YouTube channel. And then on Friday, I'm also going to release a team selection video where I go through my final team, potentially, most likely, my final wildcard draft for Game Week 20, which is going to be my team going forward, because I want the wildcard draft to be the same team that I have currently. So yeah, that's pretty much what's coming up when it comes to the videos. But this is basically the team. We have 4 players coming in: Estupiñan, Moreno, Garnacho, and Haaland. And that's basically just making room for Haaland by selling Trent Alexander-Arnold, selling Richarlison for Garnacho, selling Nkunku for Haaland. And I'm also switching away Gusto just to have a better defensive player as well. I could potentially, I don't know, I have enough money in the bank to have the luxury of having a Moreno in my defense. So yeah, those guys drop out and those guys drop in, the guys that I just mentioned. So those are basically the 4 changes from last time around. Salah is still, I don't know, kind of, up in the air. If Haaland is, like I said, fully fit for the Sheffield United game, he's going to be the starter there, and I'm most likely going to captain him, then I'm most likely not going to have Salah for this game week. But if I have Salah as captain, or if I think Salah is the best captaincy option, I just feel like I have to have him in my squad still. So that's why he's in there still. But yeah, that's basically my whole squad. I hope this video was informative for you at least. And maybe entertaining, maybe you'd like to see some more, maybe you want to see the weekly wildcard drafts in the final form on the team selection video on Friday. Maybe you want to see the FPL Scope podcast with me and Kevin, which is posting tomorrow on Thursday. If you like those videos, then please subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video as well, that will help me in the algorithm and all that stuff. So yeah, it would be really appreciated if you could do that, if you have lasted this far in the video. And hopefully this is just like a fun thing to look at, because not a lot of people are doing a wildcarding game week 20, and I have some pretty good plans for the next few game weeks. I didn't really go into the double game weeks either in potentially game week 21, which could still be an option apparently. Ben Krellin tweeted about this, and FPL Focal tweeted about this today, that there are some signs to a potential game week 21 double for Brentford and Man City, which would be kind of crazy. But in case that happens, I do have the plan to have both Haaland and De Bruyne, which is more than most people can say, I think, for the team. And potentially also do a -4 hit to bring in someone like Stones or Foden, for example, if need be. So yeah, potentially also Tony. Like, Tony is someone that I have considered potentially as a striker, because I could just bench him for Garnacho. I could just bench him, in game week 20 I could just bench him for Garnacho, and then game week 21 and beyond he'll be back. But Brentford have basically a good game week in game week 21, and potentially a double game week. If they do get a double game week, if that is confirmed before the deadline especially, then maybe Tony comes in for Solanke or Watkins, probably Solanke. But if that's the case, maybe I'll have Tony. But after the game week 21 fixture, I don't think Brentford have the best fixtures, so Tony might not even be like that important to have. And the double game week is against Man City as well, so I'm not sure if I'm going to force Tony into the team when Solanke is performing as well as he is doing currently. So those are just some of my final thoughts for today at least. I'm going to have some new thoughts on the podcast after the games tonight, and I'm also going to have some new thoughts tomorrow as well when I do the team selection video for Friday. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.